So round one, it's just concluded in the West. The Travelling Suns, we know that was an issue for them last year. They come up against the Eagles. Not so much of an issue today, Kane. Got a bit ugly towards the end, really.
Didn't it what? This is the first half numbers. Look at that. That is an absolute smashing. So game over quarter time, game over at half time, plus 23 contested, plus 9 in ground balls, plus 17 in clearances, and plus 23 in entries. So Anderson, Rao and Miller, you've heard those names before, haven't you? The usual suspects. 29 clearances between those three. The whole of the West Coast side had 33. So the whole West Coast side had 4 more clearances than those 3 stars from Gold Coast. Great start from them. Ben King was on fire forward. The halfbacks, Noble and Rioli, did exactly what they thought they would. Yep, it's the Eagles, but a big relief to get a big win on the biggest and longest road trip in football where they've struggled.
For the Eagles, there were alarming signs, I guess you could couch it, Kane, early. And you want to highlight an incident involving one of the more inexperienced players, it must be said.
Yeah, Dewar's only played 8 games, okay? So we get that, but look at him there. So I'll pause it there. Miller's going to mark this footy. So Dewar's got his back to the play. No one is directing him. No one's talking to him. No one's instructing him. No one's saying, hang on, Touk Miller might be in a dangerous spot here, and then look, and as he marks the ball, Dewar's still got his back to the play. Now we can accept you getting beaten, there's no doubt, and West Coast are going to get beaten, and they're going to get beaten badly on occasions. You cannot accept that, even for an 8-game player. So that was one of many clips I could have shown, but when that happens, that's a sign that you're just not there. And that's early in the first quarter where you are fresh, there's no fatigue, first game of the season, you should be switched on. So they just can't be accepting efforts like that.
I mean, is it unfair to be picking on him, or is it emblematic of a much bigger problem, do you think, at the club?
Yeah, no, it's the broader conversation about the footy club, and it's the teammates around him. It speaks to a lack of leadership. It speaks to players worrying about themselves. Like their best teams, turn the footy over. All right, where's my teammate going to go? Make sure he's not too close to me. He's going to knock off that dangerous space. If there's a player that needs to be shut down, they will do that, and they communicate as one. And I mean, that's where the Eagles need to get to, because that takes no talent. That doesn't take any talent. It doesn't take high draft picks, nothing. It just takes, players being switched on. So that's a concern. And the coach spoke at quarter time, Sarah, and he was pretty upset with what he saw.
It's pretty simple. We're minus 23 in the contest, so it's not acceptable. We'll never be able to compete in games unless we improve that.
Yeah, I guess welcome to the big time mini, and it doesn't get any easier, Kane, because next week they travel to the Gabba to take on the reigning premier in Brisbane. I just wonder, what did you make of Harley Reid's match? Of course, he's always going to garner plenty of attention. There are a few theatrics today, I thought.
There was. I'm worried about him. Yeah, not worried about him long term. He's going to get there, and in 5-6 years' time, this stuff is going to be out of his game. But the sooner it gets out of his game, the better. Like, that's unacceptable. Like, that's an embarrassing effort for
Well, he's
Harley
just better
Reid.
than that, isn't he?
He is. And the problem now for him, and I speak to the lack of leadership. Remember Elliot Yeo was sort of looking after him last year and coming in and protecting him in his first year. Elliot Yeo is not there. So teams have a target on his back. Not only physically, because they know he is susceptible to that, they know he will bite back, they know there's a risk that he'll get reported or give away free kicks, but also there's a target on his back because he's not fit enough yet, and he hasn't had an interrupted pre-season, that they start on him at stoppage and then they expose him the other way. And there's a couple of clips that we could have shown on Anderson and Rao. I mentioned the 29 clearances between those 3 Gold Coast gun midfielders that often would start on Reid and then get away from him. So he's got a lot of work to do. And talk of him being a $2 million player and all of that, and back page of the paper and the press, he's nowhere near that. And he's nowhere near the player that he needs to be. He had 4 touches in the first half, 2 kicks, and it was a really ordinary first up performance from him, albeit it's his second year. I get it. It's harsh criticism, but we expect more from a player who we know is capable of a lot more than that.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.